Hi, so you probably remember me. I did the video on Muhammad Ali the other day. Well, yesterday, when I'd found out that breaking news at around 6:28 or so. Now, I explained to you about 1 or 2 fights he had, a few things he had done, him being known as an activist. But here's some other people who speak about him. These people are known as the Young Turks. So I'm going to play this clip for you. So without further ado, let's roll that footage. Oh yeah, one more thing. I think people have to realize that when you're a famous athlete or sports person, there's 2 ways you can go. You can influence people positively, or you can influence them negatively. But yeah, without further ado, let's beam that lovely footage of the Young Turks.
Grave condition for Muhammad Ali, and he was. I don't want to take it back down, but eventually, obviously, he's in serious trouble. But you talk about an original, not an original, but a 1960s legitimate progressive, and taking a stand when it was unpopular and ruined his career. And I want to read the famous quote from 1966, came a year before in 1967 when he was stripped of his title because he refused to be inducted for the draft. And Muhammad Ali said, "Why should they ask me to put on a uniform and go 10,000 miles from home and drop bombs and bullets on brown people in Vietnam while so-called Negro people in Louisville are treated like dogs and denied human rights? No, I'm not going to help murder and burn another poor nation simply to continue the domination of white slave masters of the darker people the world over." Talk about putting something at risk at the time. Didn't fight for 3+ years in the prime of his career, and fought it all the way to the Supreme Court, where, for whatever it's worth, he won. And his conscientious objector status was upheld, but he's in a Phoenix hospital in grave condition as we speak right now.
No. So you read that quote. That quote sounds so radical. Today they would call him absolutely crazy left-wing radical. And it wasn't easier in the 1960s. It was harder in the 1960s, right? And he changed his name from Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali. And so many of the sports broadcasters refused to call him Muhammad Ali. They kept calling him Cassius Clay. He fought through all that. He fought through prison because he knew what was the right thing to do. I mean, he was a fighter in the ring. He was a fighter outside the ring. And so just an absolutely great American. And I want to leave on a non-political note with Muhammad Ali. This is the quote I have of him up in my room. It's the only picture I have in my room. It's that picture you saw where he's standing over the guy. And he said at a different time, "The fight is won or lost far away from witnesses, behind the lines, in the gym, and out there on the road, long before I dance under those lights." And that is so true. It's not in that moment you find out who you are. It's before that moment, when you give it your all in preparation. That's true in politics, it's true in sports, it's true in life. So Muhammad Ali in grave condition, and added so much to the American culture and to the idea of revolution in this country, that we can be better. And he risked everything to prove that, and in doing so, made us better.